How long have you been married?
25 years.
How old were you when you met each other?
19.
Describe your courtship.
We met at a local movie theater. I was a cashier and Dad was the usher, and that's how we met. We dated through college and after.
Why did you decide to get married?
Because we loved each other. We wanted to raise a family.
Describe your engagement.
Well, we got engaged in December of 1988. I took Angela to Rockefeller Center and I proposed in front of thousands of people. And we went to the Christmas show. And then we went to a famous restaurant called Canistells in Manhattan. And my friend came with a super stretch limo and picked us up and took us home.
How old were you when you got married?
We were both 26.
What were you looking for in a spouse?
I was looking for somebody who had the same family background values that I had, was Christian, and somebody that would work together to build a family.
And I was looking for somebody who, would be a good provider and a good dad, and somebody who would, we had a good relationship, and we knew that we would be very good for each other.
How does the reality of marriage compare to your expectations of what marriage would be?
I think it's very different. I think that, a lot, as a couple, you come into a marriage with expectations that most of the time are not what you think they're going to be. Marriage can be better or it could be worse in some instances. And, you take the good with the bad, but it's definitely not what you think it's going to be.
I agree. What you think's happening really doesn't happen. A lot of the things, what you thought were easy, aren't easy. And it's a constant relationship working at something to accomplish values that we all have to agree on.
How do children affect marriage?
Children bring a lot of joy to marriage. They also put a lot of strain on a marriage. So you need to have a strong foundation in a marriage really to get you through, rearing children. I think that sometimes people think having a child is going to help a relationship, but generally it makes it worse if things are not right at the time that you have a child. But a child brings something to a relationship. It enhances a relationship, and it makes the marriage whole, I think.
How important are money in marriage?
Well, we need money in order to live, but it's what type of value you put on the money. If you make value the most important thing of a marriage, then there's nothing really to base your marriage on. Value is a tool to help you get through life, and if the two of you work together at the same time, not against each other when it comes to money, it makes it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
How important are similar values and religion?
I think that any similarities that you have makes the relationship easier. Being that we're both Catholic, we were both brought up in Catholic homes. We had that value from the start, which was a really good thing, and we both agreed that we would raise our children that way. And religion is a very important part of our life, and we have very similar values. We came from similar backgrounds. I'm Italian and Irish, and Steve's Italian, so a lot of our traditions are similar. You know, we celebrate the same holidays, so all that makes things easier.
Puts a lot of less stress on a marriage also.
How important is cultural background?
Well, in our case, like I said, we come from similar type families, so again, any similarities make things easier. I don't think that it's as important as having a similar religious background. Um, but again, any differences that you have or differences that you come from can create more stresses in marriage.
It's less of a learning curve too. Um, when you get married, you have to learn to live with the other person, and if you have similar backgrounds, it's a lot easier to know what that person's backgrounds are as yours are. It's less of a learning curve. If you don't have similar backgrounds, the other spouse has to learn what those cultural backgrounds are. So you have to get used to it and accustomed to it as opposed to just growing up in the same background.
How important is educational background?
I think it's important. I think that if you're on kind of the same level educationally, you can converse better, and you kind of, I don't know. There's no lack of communication in a way. Whereas if somebody, in a situation where maybe one person graduated college and another one didn't, it could create a little bit of a stress factor in the relationship.
How important is age difference?
Well, age differences, if there's athletic type of a age difference, where if you're both of the same age, you can do physically things together. Age difference also has to do with generations. So, in other words, music as an example, I value on music. If some of my spouse is older than me, she's in a different sort of a musical background. Values, jobs, everyday lifestyles. If you're both at the same age, you both agree on it. If you're not, one is at a different level than you are, but then again, you both have to work at it and respect each other with your different backgrounds.
What advice would you give teenagers who are dating and thinking about getting married?
I think a teenager getting married is way too young. I think that again, like really not knowing what happens in a marriage until you're in the marriage, entering it as an older person or someone maybe in their mid-20s, I think could be more prepared than someone who's in their teens to handle the different things that happen during a marriage.
I agree.
What advice would you give to a young married couple that is experiencing marital difficulties and is thinking about getting a divorce?
Well, I would definitely advise talking to a priest that they both like. I would advise that they go for counseling, maybe through a recommendation of their church. And I would definitely recommend speaking to an older couple that's been married for many years to get their opinion as to what they're experiencing with each other right now.
Looking back, what would you do differently if you could?
Well, if there's a way in the beginning, when we first got married, we didn't have a lot of money. So if there was a way to financially have more money when we started off our marriage, I would recommend that. Career-minded, I would have been more open-minded to the different types of career paths I could have went on, and have better structured in the beginning of my job career.
And I think we needed to, maybe do a little bit better planning of things.
What would you say is the key to a happy marriage?
I think respecting each other is very important. I think if you don't respect your spouse, you probably shouldn't be married to that person.
I think constant communication in all aspects of the marriage is the key.
Do you think a couple should live together before deciding to get married? Why or why not?
I would say no. I don't think that living together prior to marriage, which some people think is